Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Visibility Show with Becky and Steph. I am Steph of Sizzle Force Marketing, and my co-host is
Becky J. Anderson from BeckyJAnderson.com, and we are so excited to be here. We have a great show, right, Steph?
We do. We sure do. And you guys, you know what we're going to talk about today is such an important topic for all of you guys to understand. We're going to talk about how to cut through the noise, because we are in a noisy market, right? How to cut through the noise and immediately position your company as the ideal choice before your prospects. And this is something that the importance of this cannot be understated. We are in a competitive marketplace. People will always undersell you if you let them. And so we've got to figure out how we're going to stand out in new and different ways. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yes, we are. Also known as the unique selling proposition, right?
Yes. Okay. Now here's a funny thing that as I was kind of writing up some notes about what I wanted to share with you guys today, I was reminded of why there's probably a ton of confusion in the marketplace about what the USP is, because it also goes by like 5,000 other names, Becky. And I'm sure you've probably noticed this, but like I just started listing out like, okay. Oh, you guys can hear my cuckoo clock in the background, can't you? Okay. Sorry about the cuckoo clock. It'll stop in just a minute. But the USP is the unique selling proposition, which is also the unique value proposition, which is sometimes called your UVP. And then we have your positioning statement, and then we have your UPS, and then we have your brand promise. It's all the same thing.
It is. Yep, it is.
Right? So if you guys are like watching this stuff and just being like, oh my goodness, I have to have all these USP and UVP and USP and blah, blah, blah. Really, it's all the same thing. We just like to confuse you, I guess, in the marketing world.
Yep, so, right?
Yeah. So today we're all about clearing away that confusion and decluttering your mind and giving you that one unique selling proposition that is going to make you an absolute rock star.
It's very important that they have one and scream it from the mountaintop. So today we're going to be going over all that, aren't we?
We sure are. Yeah. And Becky, I was thinking, I want to dig right in here, but just to get the ball rolling, what if we just started sharing some kind of famous USPs that have been out there? I'll go first, and then you want to share one?
Sure.
Okay, so one that always stands with me is the M&Ms, melts in your mouth, not in your hands.
That is a good one.
Right?
What about Zappos? Free shipping and free returns.
Yep. Good. I mean, it's so clear, right? It's so absolutely clear. What about, let's have like a USP showdown, Becky.
No kidding. Let's see what you got. Bring it.
All right. So I've got the Dollar Shave Club, a great shave for a few bucks a month.
That's a good one.
Got another one?
How about Domino's Pizza? We guarantee fresh, hot pizza delivered in 30 minutes or less.
Yum. Bring it.
You want Domino's for lunch?
Yeah, really? For real, I do. All right, so I'm going to jump in here, and we're going to talk about what a USP is to kick us off. But first, before I do anything else, I just want to say hello to Danielle, hello to Annie, hello to Paul. We are glad you guys are here, and we're super excited to talk to you, teach you, share with you, grow with you, and answer any questions that you guys have. So please take advantage of the comments section that we have up there. We want to answer your questions. We want to clarify things for you so that you walk away from watching this just empowered, ready to not just know that something exists and that you need to do it, but you know how to do it and you actually get it done. Right, Becky?
Exactly. Paul says, how about for any odor elimination without harmful chemicals? Wow, Paul, that's a good plug.
Paul is really good about sneaking his plugs in. See, yep, he's smart. You guys, if you guys already know your USP, go ahead and put it up there. Free visibility.
Free visibility.
So let me jump in. All right. So what is a USP besides having all of these weird names? It really, in essence, is your most compelling differentiator, right?
Yeah.
It is the one statement, the one key statement that really, really declares with absolute clarity and authority the benefit that you provide as a result of somebody buying your product or your service. I think the most compelling way to explain it is really, it's the reason why people buy from you instead of your competitors, right?
Yes, basically what your brand stands for, what sets you apart, what you're right, you put it, what's the differentiator, what is it, what makes you different?
There has to be a reason for people to buy what you sell versus what somebody else sells that is either identical. Like, for example, if you're in multi-level marketing, right, and you carry the same products, you can't differentiate your product, but you could certainly differentiate another aspect of what you do, your service, the way that you bundle things. There's a million different things.
Yeah. But it's exactly, and like, not to point Paul out again, but he put it right there, odor elimination without harmful chemicals. And back to when I was doing the candle business, we always said all things fragranced, all things natural. So it was all natural products, but everything was fragranced. So it's like, oh, Bonnie's like, why you? Yeah.
Perfect. That's
why
fun.
you? Exactly. Yeah.
Bonnie's smart. She knows this stuff.
Yep, she does. So yeah, that's what sets you apart. And it's, you want to know and you want to have that ready and be able to share it at all times, right? And quickly.
Very quickly, roll off the tongue, very memorable. But we'll get into that in a little bit. I'll share one more example, and then I'm going to pass the baton over to you, Becky, because I know you've got some really good stuff to share next. But one other USP that I think is fantastic is Head and Shoulders. That shampoo, right? And they say Head and Shoulders, clinically proven to remove dandruff, right? It is so simple. You have no question about what the product is, what it does, what the benefit to having it is. And it's very clear that the way they differentiated their product, it could just be another shampoo. But it's not just another shampoo because A, it attacks the dandruff, but B, it's not just talking about the shampoo for your head. It says your shoulders, right?
Yeah, so, you're right.
And not that you necessarily wash your shoulders, but we all know that if someone has bad dandruff and they wear a black shirt,
it's going to show up.
See the sprinkles on the shoulders, right? So
they're solving that pain point right there in their slogan.
And that's what we're gonna do today. Teach you guys how to do that so that you can go ahead and own the marketplace and dominate your position. So Becky, tell us why we need a USP.
You need a USP so that you stand out from the crowd. I've used the scenario with the Blue Ocean Strategy, that book, a lot, where you stand out. You're not in the competitive ocean. So let me give you an example. So say, for example, we have Company One, and Company One offers web design, social media marketing, SEO, copywriting, pay-per-click, and more, right? Then we have Company Number Two. They offer SEO, okay? So you're a CEO of a company and you're trying to hire someone to do your SEO. Who are you going to hire? Company One or Company Two?
Tell us in the comments, you guys. Who are you going to hire?
Who are you going to hire?
They don't know who they're going to hire.
Kelly's at the Phoenix Zoo, and Annie says, look good, smell good, feel good, and Bonnie says, the name says it all. I think you're going to hire Company Two because you want to be known for something. You want to be able to stand out. And so it's what you're known for, what you stand for. So that's one of the reasons you need, and then to go back to the candles that we did, Bonnie said Company Two, right? The name says it all. We were soy long before natural was cool, but we were known for the strong fragrances. And one of the things that we were known for is trend-driven products. So that became part of our unique selling proposition, is that we were the trend driven. We use the tagline, the fashion forward fragrance company, because we not only brought the latest innovative fragrances, we delivered labels that had the trend prints on. So for example, when the chevron print was popular, we had chevron print on the labels, and the colors. So I used to always say, you can go in, you can redo a whole room without buying furniture, because you can buy pillows and you can buy candles, you can buy a rug, and you can change the whole feel. So I always said, you can guarantee that you could go in and buy our candles and they would match the same Pantone colors as the pillows and rugs you would buy at Target or any place else. So we were really spot on with trends, and that's one of the things that we became known for, and it's really what helped us scale. So I think it's really important that you all be thinking about, what is your unique selling proposition, and how are you going to share it, and how are you going to differentiate? Because it really makes a difference in if you scale or not.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, another reason why you need a USP is it makes you memorable.
It
right?
does. It does.
You know, I was thinking about other examples, and I bet every single person watching this right now knows the USP for NyQuil. Don't you? Say it with me.
Yep. The nighttime sniffling. Yeah. So you can rest medicine.
Right? Exactly. You know what? We all know that because somebody at NyQuil headquarters said, we need a USP and we need to make it really benefits driven. And we need to then market the snot out of it and get it in front of everybody that potentially could get a cold, which, you know, in their case is like everyone, right?
Exactly.
But notice it's not necessarily, it doesn't say like the upset stomach medicine.
Right.
It does hone in on the fact that it is for colds, but they cover all of these aspects of the cold, the stuffy head, the fever, the sniffling, the sneezing, right? So while it's broad enough to cover a lot of symptoms, it's not, you know, Vicodin, right? That will just knock you out and kind of, I guess, not cure everything, but at least make you incoherent to feel any pain, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah. So there's Kelly's got one, changing the world one family at a time.
That's good. That's good. Who else wants to put theirs up there? Share. I think Annie's was it look good, smell good, feel good? I think was that hers?
Yeah, that looks like it. I like that.
I do too. Good. And she's in Bath and Body and fragrance, so that's good. I love it. Kelly's at the zoo and listening. That's awesome.
I know. Kelly's like looking at the lions and then looking at us. So Becky, can I talk a little bit about where the USP should be used?
Absolutely. That would be great.
This is an important thing for you guys. Your USP needs to be everywhere. Okay. It needs to follow you everywhere.
Yep.
So similar, you know, your USP is usually part of your story, right? It's like the one sentence version of your story and the benefit that you deliver. But like your story, it follows you everywhere. So it needs to be on your business card. It needs to be on your website. It needs to be on your social media stuff. It needs to be on any print ads you do. It needs to be in your radio or TV ads. It needs to be on your products. It should be on your boxes when you're shipping. It should be everywhere.
Yeah.
So and another thing is it's not just for print either. Your USP is something that should frequently be spoken. So if you give speeches, if you go to networking events and you share a networking commercial, this is something that, you know, somebody should just hear over and over and over again every time they interact with you. If they call your company and they get your voicemail, your USP should be in your voicemail message, right, Becky?
Yeah, it should. I mean, use it everywhere. We had a sheet that we put our wow factors on, and we put everything that was a wow factor with our candles, and we had that everywhere and gave it to every sales rep. We had it on our website. I mean, you want to scream from the mountaintops what your wow factors are, and what makes you unique and what you stand for. Paul says, how do you know if you have a good one or if you should try to develop a new one? I personally think you have a good one, Paul, but you know,
how do you know if you have a good one? I think is if it's making you stand out, you know?
If you get sales and you stand out.
Yeah. How are your
remember
sales? Are people remembering it? Are people sharing it?
Yeah.
You know, when people think of your company, are they like, oh, wait, you're that nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing. Yeah, you're that guy, right? But your version, obviously. Kelly wants to know what Paul's is.
So Paul, there you go. You get to type it in again.
Yeah. And make sure when you guys are posting your USP in the comments, because we don't all know each other, it would be awesome if you could say, we sell whatever it is, and then say our USP is blah, blah, blah. Because that'll help us, you know, keep track. Because between Becky and I, we know what most of you guys do, but you guys all know each other. So
And Tracy just put hers there. I'm Coach Tracy, Simply Medicare. It's on back of my card. Plus 80% of the seniors are on the wrong plan. That's good. 80% of the seniors on the wrong. That is good. Mm-hmm. Paul says odor elimination without harmful chemicals. Yes, that is Paul's. Anybody else want to put theirs up? So yeah, it's just really important, and you want to put it from everywhere. So should we move on to how to create one?
Yeah, this is the good part. This is, you guys, if you're not taking notes, this is when you want to grab your notepad out, because Becky's got some genius to share with you.
So do you. But I want to tell you a story first, okay? I want to tell you about this friend of a friend that we have, and his name is Dave, okay? Dave was at a meeting in Atlantic City, and he finished up early and he went to the airport, okay? And so he was sitting at the bar having a drink, and he was just finishing up his drink and he was going to leave. And then this lady came up to him and started talking to him. And she said, hey, I noticed you're sitting here alone. Could I buy you a drink? And he goes, sure. So she went over and got him a drink and her a drink and came and sat down. And they each had their drink and they visited. And that's the last thing Dave remembers. Okay. So Dave wakes up and he's sitting in an ice cold bathtub. Okay. And he's like, how did I get here? I'm in an ice cold bathtub in a hotel room. And the last thing he remembers is sitting at the bar. So what he does is he looks around and he sees a note sitting right there, and it says, call 911 immediately. And sitting next to the bathtub is a little table, and there is a cell phone sitting on it. So he picks it up and he calls 911 and he tells the operator, I am sitting in this ice cold bathtub and I don't know how I got here. And the lady says, now don't be alarmed, but I want you to carefully reach around to your back and see if you feel anything, if there's a tube coming out of your back. And he said, oh my gosh, there is. And so he feels this tube coming out of his back. And she goes, okay, stay still. There's an ambulance on the way. You have been the victim of a kidney heist. And the lady at the bar that gave him the drink knocked him out, and they took his kidney out. So,
wait, is this a true story?
I am telling you this story because I'm making a point.
Okay, because I'm like, wait, what?
So I'm telling you this story because now pretend you've just read that story, or I've just told you that story. What's going to happen is you're going to go away, and today, an hour later, you're going to remember that story. Tomorrow, you're going to remember that story that the guy at the bar woke up in the hotel room and his kidney was gone. Okay. That's how memorable your story needs to be. What I just told you is an urban legend that's been going around the internet for a really long time. But point being, if you tell your unique selling proposition or you tell your company's story, are people going to remember it in an hour or tomorrow or the next day? Okay. So stories are so important when you're creating that feel and that vibe and what you want to tell. So I'm going to tell you a true story now. I'm going to tell you a true story. And this is kind of
a true story really quick. I'm just glad I'm not the only one that was like, is she telling the truth? Because look at like Annie's like, oh my goodness, I was getting scared. And Amanda says, I'm gonna have nightmares about the story now. So, right? I'm like, are you kidding? Somebody like, how do you do that?
Okay, so I got that story out of the book Made to Stick. Okay, have you ever read that book? It's an incredible book about unique selling propositions and how to make your brand stick and how to be memorable. And it was an incredible, but it had me sucked in too. But yeah, so it's just those key points. You're going to remember it. So I'm going to tell you a true story now. So I have a daughter who had a hard time getting pregnant. And she was like 8-9 years before she could get pregnant. And she finally had a sweet little boy. And he was 3 months old and he got really sick with Kawasaki's disease. So after all this trouble, we almost lost this baby. And Kawasaki's disease it's a heart disease. They don't know what causes it or, but anyway, bottom line is if they don't get it diagnosed from the time it starts by day 10, you typically need a heart transplant. So we were really, really lucky that my daughter was so diligent. And I mean, he went into the hospital so many times trying to figure it out before they figured it out. And just like on almost the last day, they finally diagnosed it and able to give him the treatment he needed to save him. But what happened in the process, my daughter became so alarmed as to how he could get this disease. And because there's so little known about it. So she became a green fanatic. She got rid of all her cleaning products. She got rid of everything. So it was back in the day when the business, we had all sorts of products. So she worked with me and we decided to launch a green cleaning line. So we did counter sprays, we did soaps, we did, all sorts of cleaning products. And we called it Green Living. And we dedicated that line to Liam, my little grandson. And in the catalog, we told the story. We had a picture of him. There he is, this new little baby with all these EKG things hooked up to his heart and everything. And then the label that we put on the product had these leaves. It had 3 little leaves in the center, which were my grandchildren, but the biggest one was for Liam. And then up above, there were 4 for the girls and 2 for the boys. So the 6 kids and the 3 grandkids. And what happened with that green cleaning line, it was just like a little side thing to the big candle business. But because of the story that the sales reps told with that, it became a very big product for us and one of our bigger sellers because they could relate it to that story. It was memorable. It was like the kid story. They knew there was a story behind that green cleaning and it was the story of Liam. And then as the sales reps got out selling it, and we had like 5,000 reps, they would all tell that story over and over. And of course, they're in the catalog with that product, there was the picture of Liam with it. So that's kind of part of how you can create around one is tell your story because stories are so important. Stories sell and stories are memorable. And I know you're a big story fan because I was reading your book last night. Yeah, and there's all sorts of stories in it.
There's a lot of stories in there. If you guys want to understand more about really how to make your brand stand out in a noisy world, you really ought to pick up a copy of it because I point out a lot of different brands that are doing this really well. And I walk you through some processes to help you do it on your own. Right, Becky?
Yeah. And she starts right off telling the story of Kendra Scott's business. And for those of you that follow her, Stephanie and I both had an experience of sitting in on Kendra Scott speaking, but Stephanie tells story after story in that book. And really, I mean, it sucked me in last night. You guys need to pick it up if you haven't.
Yay.
Awesome.
All right. So do you want to get into like the semantics of the 1, 2, 3 and what we need to do?
What we need to do on how to create their own.
Yeah.
You're saying?
You want me to jump into there too?
Yeah. Why don't you do that?
Okay, so I really think that your USP needs to be centered around the problem that you solve. Okay.
Exactly.
So you want to, one really good way to start figuring out, well, what should mine be, is to just write down a whole list, as long as it needs to be, of all the problems that you solve. So let's say, for example, Okay, I have my phone here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say I'm trying to write a USP for this phone. Let's pretend it's not iPhone. And so this
Right.
is like a brand less
Mm-hmm.
phone.
Yeah.
So what problems would this solve? This would, it would solve the problem of people not being able to reach me if I was
Mm-hmm.
someplace other than where my landline was. Okay.
Right.
B, it would solve the problem of me not being able to be productive if I'm out and about because it's like a little computer, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
C, it would solve the problem of not being big and bulky. Remember when cell phones first
Oh
came out
my
and they
gosh,
were
they
like
were
the
like a
size of a
brick.
brick? Yeah.
We both worked at the same time.
And now we have this slim little ditty that fits in my back pocket, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, it solves the problem of wanting to be feminine, right? It's not this big necessarily this big huge black monster, right? Mine's rose
Mm-hmm.
gold, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of things. I could go on and on and on about what it does. The screen is big enough that I can follow things and read clearly, even though I'm getting older and whatnot. I'm not trying to read this tiny little thing, right?
So
So
it
we could
solves
go
a
on and on.
lot of problems. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think really you guys need to list out all of these problems that your product or service can solve. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, let's see, let's maybe talk about one of our
You want to
listeners'
pick somebody here?
products. Yeah,
So
who do you
like
think we should
Annie,
pick?
she has natural essentials bath and body candles. Look good,
Okay.
smell good, feel good.
Okay. So some things, and I'm not super familiar with your product line at all, but let's just maybe do a little bit of brainstorming real quick here, just off the cuff. Like some of the problems it could solve. There's a lot of people, first of all, you're in a crowded marketplace, right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of companies offering bath, body, and candles, which is why
Mm-hmm.
it is so extra important for you to have your USP, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some of the things that it could solve, well, first of all, the basics. It's going to keep you clean, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
going to help you smell good. It's going to make the candles will make your house smell good.
Makes you feel like you've just been on a vacation because they smell so good. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's got packaging, really clean ocean type, bright color packaging. She's got beautiful products.
Okay. Yeah. So it helps you relax,
Yeah.
right? Maybe, and I don't know if you like use certain essential oils or something, but maybe if you use those, it could even have some effects on how you're feeling emotionally, right? Like they say, if you smell the
Take a bath,
citrusy
not a
smells,
pill.
it lightens your mood, right? Makes you happier. And
Take
the
a bath, not a
lavender.
pill. Yeah. Yeah.
What was that, Becky? I'm sorry.
Take a bath, not a pill.
Take a bath, not a pill. Oh my gosh, that is genius. Annie,
We did a
that one.
campaign like that when we had Bath and Body. We all wore t-shirts, take a bath, not a pill. And we had the bath bombs that you dropped in the tub. We did that at a trade show once. She says, yes, they
I love
use
that.
essential oils. Yeah.
Yeah. So, hitting on the essential oils and how, depending on, I don't know what grade yours are or whatnot, but I know that's a big thing kind of in that market of like, oh, well, we have certified therapeutic grade or whatever it might be, right? But you could even say, and I don't know if this is true, but if you have clinical proof that a certain essential oil that you're using is is used as a mood elevator, right? And it's not that you went out and funded the research to get this proof, right? It's the
Mm-hmm.
essential oil company that's done this for you.
Right.
But you can piggyback on that and you can say clinically proven to elevate your mood in 10 minutes or less or whatever it might be, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. That's a good one. That's a good one. Who else do we have in here that you want to maybe do? Who else has got a product they want us to review and do it?
If you guys want to pop in on the comments and say, yes, please pick me, and write down what you sell, we can do some of this live brainstorming right now. You're like getting a free hot seat, baby.
Right. Yeah. Kind of a hot seat, putting your product up there. But yeah, so I think going over the problems that you solve is a big key, and focusing on that to, and then differentiating, like you said. Paul says, try mine. Becky knows that.
All right.
Okay, Stephanie, do Paul's.
Okay. So Paul has an odor elimination product, and it's a spray that we've talked about this on Paul's. I love Paul's participation level. He's always like game for participating.
He is.
So
He's a
his
sport.
spray can be used in a lot of different ways. I think on one of our lives we talked about it gets the stink out of your stinky dog. It can be used to get the stink out of, I'm assuming, my son's hockey bag, which is unbelievable.
You know what I think one of his biggest unique selling propositions is that he doesn't talk about enough?
Mm-hmm.
It is so powerful that it's unscented. It does not have to be fragranced, so it does not mask the odor. It completely eliminates it. And that is a unique selling proposition that most odor eliminators do not have.
That's huge, especially for people that are sensitive to those scents. They have a health condition, they have allergies, they have, or they just have a strong sense of smell, right?
Yeah. So I think a good one for Paul is so powerful that it doesn't even have to be fragranced. And Bonnie says, can't Lysol do the same thing? See, so she's trying to throw in some. No, Lysol is an aerosol. Lysol just masks. Lysol doesn't eliminate. Mm-hmm. Here's another one. Kay sells candles and body butter niches. She's people in healthcare.
Okay. So for example, for Kay, if you are niching for people in healthcare, what's one of the problems they have? Well, they're constantly washing their hands, right?
Yep. Dry, cracked hands.
Yeah. And so their hands, they hurt, they get chapped. And so if you can say something like, the the best solution, and you don't want to say the best, that's not a good example off the cuff, but saying something like, maybe we go back to the clinically proven to reduce chapped hands by 90% in X minutes, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or you could say something like the nurse's choice for moisturized hands. Now, how does it become the nurse's choice, right? It's not like you have to go and talk to every nurse on the planet. Quite frankly, you could talk to a handful of nurses and say, what do you like better, this, or this? And they're going to say, well, we like yours. Well, there you go. It's the nurse's choice.
There you go. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So we have Sherry Barrowman says, New Way Signs sells heartwarming handmaids with sentimental expressions.
Handmade what?
Signs.
Handmade
I would say sells heartwarming handmade with sentimental expressions. So she has signs, I would say. Okay.
So then a USP for you is, well, there could be a lot of different things. I don't know how you etch your signs. Is it on wood? Is it on glass? Is it on,
It's handmade and it's sentimental, heartwarming, cheers you up, walk in the room and see it there.
It could also be unique to you. Like, for example, my husband and I have a wood burned by hand sign that's been above our bed since the day we got married. Somebody gave it to us as a wedding gift, and it has the Bible verse that it kind of is like our anchor for our relationship. And it's so highly personal to us that it's been hanging over our bed for almost 18 years now. And something like that, if you were to offer this this level of personalization, that can be huge.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah.
And if you're making them by hand anyways, you're not mass producing them. So you can do that. You
probably could do the personalized. Yeah, that would be special. Something that's unique to you. And especially if it's been hanging there 18 years.
Yeah. And we'll never take it down.
Timeless.
Yeah,
timeless.
It really is.
See, maybe
it's somebody's song, a couple's song. Or maybe it's a sign with says something about that first date, of where they met, or the first time they said I love you, or the first kiss, or I'm just talking about couples. I mean, there could be the day the baby was born. There could be the day they bought the house. There's so many different things you could do. Personalization sells big, and personalization is a huge differentiator.
She says many memorable gift items, not necessarily signs. Okay, gift items.
Okay. So we'd have to look at and see what your product line looks like.
Yeah.
But what do we have here from Tracy? Odor removing spray idea. How about this? My disabled clients and bedridden seniors have rooms that stink.
We know that one all too well, because remember, we were taking care of my dad, who just passed away last July.
Been there too. I've been there too. A place for moms should endorse this, or you should have them sell it. Try marketing to caregivers and social workers. That's an interesting spin for Paul.
And you know what it is it's niching down. That's another thing you can do with your niche or your products, is niche down and take care of a unique marketplace. So that would be one for him. So yeah, that was good stuff going through everybody's. So what's next?
All right. So one last thing on that last topic about how to create your USP. So you're going to write down all of the pain points your people have, and then you need to write down how you solve those pain points.
Your distinct benefits, yeah.
And you're going to marry those two when they, these two fall in love, kiss, get married.
What's the promise you're going to give them? Yeah.
And they make a promise. And that's your USP. It's not rocket science, you guys. So it actually does not have to be a really difficult thing. It just takes some time to think through and to flesh through your ideas.
It's really 3 steps, like you said, 3 simple steps.
Yeah.
The problem, explain the problem, list your biggest, benefits, your distinct, and then what's the promise of those 2 together?
That's all it is.
Yeah.
So sometimes it also helps you guys when creating your USP is to interview the people that have already bought it and just ask them. Say, well, you could have bought 1 million different lotions or 1 million different candles, or you could have gone out and bought the Lysol spray. Why did you buy mine? And why did you, especially if it's a repeat buyer, why did you buy it again?
Right.
Because they're going to have a reason, and chances are it's not just because they're your friend, right? I mean, it's solving a real problem for them. So a lot of times your customers will even tell you what your USP should be. They'll tell you what matters to them.
Yeah, the people in the trenches will tell you. They will. The customers, the people in the trenches. I've always said you get your best advice from the people that are using your products.
Yeah, another thing you guys can do is you can look at your reviews. Right? So if you sell a product on Amazon and people are talking about it, or if you sell a service and people do reviews on Yelp or, Google or Facebook or wherever it is, right? They'll tell you in those reviews what matters.
And the words they use in those reviews are important.
Yeah.
The words they use, because that's their pain. So pay close attention to those words.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times you want to try and work their words into your USP.
Right. You use their words.
Speaking their language rather than making them speak yours.
So you're solving those problems. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what are some mistakes that people make with their USPs? You want to talk about that?
I think one of the biggest mistakes people make with their USPs is trying to be everything to everybody. So they want to be the best burgers, the best salads, the best shakes. It was like the first example I gave. They're doing SEO, they're doing web development, they're doing all these other things. It's like, pick what you're going to focus on. Pick what you're good at. Pick that one thing and focus. So, and then I think another one too with trying to be the best, it's like when you're trying to be everything to everybody, you're nothing to nobody type thing. You've got to pick it. And then the other thing is just not being consistent when you've picked that, and just, like I say, screaming it from the mountaintops. It's like with the candles, everything that we did, we'd go all things fragranced, all things natural, always. So we were always saying it. And it wasn't just the candles on the top, it was all natural, and it was all, all things fragrance. So we talked about it all the time. Every catalog, every flyer, every post would always talk about that. So I think big mistake is not narrowing and honing that down.
I think another thing too is that sometimes your product or your service offerings, I know this may be more applicable for those of you guys in the service industry, but sometimes, maybe you do have an agency that provides all these different services. And if you don't want to niche down in the service offerings, then you niche down in a different way. You niche down in who you provide them to. So you become the digital marketer that provides all of these services, but only to the healthcare market, or only to the community in Nashville, or, there's different ways to niche down. It doesn't necessarily have to be just pick one product or one service and only do that. But that's a good way. I mean, I don't know, Becky, if you have In-N-Out where you live. Do you have In-N-Out burger?
We do, yeah.
Well, see, it's lunchtime here and I'm hungry, so we're talking about burgers. You know what In-N-Out does so brilliantly? Their menu is so simple. It's like you can get a cheeseburger or you can get a burger without cheese.
Right.
You can get French fries. You cannot get onion rings. You cannot get rice. You cannot get a fruit cup.
Very
right?
simple. Yeah. But you know what their unique selling proposition is? It's not just simple. It's all fresh. None of their meat is frozen. Their potatoes are cut there. But I'll tell you, In-N-Out didn't always used to be here. And every time Paul and I would go to California, that's the first place we would go from the airport because we loved going there. But now that it's here, we never go.
Isn't that funny? I have to say a little bit of my Southern California pride was taken away when In-N-Out expanded to all these different places, because I was like, no, that was kind of like our flagship place. And there was a time when it was even cool to get a t-shirt that said In-N-Out. That was like cool.
California for a long time because their meat wasn't frozen and their meat was raised there in California and they didn't want it to go old being, shipped someplace else. But I think they've figured out that in their supply chain. So but it's still not all across the country. I think it's just coming more east from California bit by bit.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a clever, unique selling proposition they have, that it's all fresh and they've built a cult following. Because I'll tell you, when it opened here, they had highway patrolmen because people were coming off the freeway to get off on the exit where it was, and it was backing the freeway up for miles. That's how big In-N-Out was when it came here. And the wait was forever in line because the cars were, a mile down the road. It was just crazy.
Right. That's insane.
Yeah.
So, and a way that they reinforce their USP, I probably go to In-N-Out more than I really should. But I can tell you guys, when you drive through the drive-through lane, you can actually see the potatoes stacked up.
Being cut, yeah.
And that's a great visual because you're like, oh, it's not frozen in a bag.
Right.
Like you can see the potatoes, you can see the people chopping stuff. Through the windows, which is their differentiator. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. All right. So another thing with mistakes that people make with USPs, I think it's when they make them too long, right?
Yes.
So some of the USPs that we talked about today, like the NyQuil one, I think that one is 9 words. That's about as much as I would do. I would say your USP really should hover between, around that 7-word mark in most cases, maybe even 5 words if you can get it to that. You want to make a brand promise that's strong and compelling enough to explain what the benefit is and who it's for.
Yeah.
You want to be succinct in the way that you say it.
Right, but descriptive enough, because I'm sitting here looking at the list I have. So Zappos, free shipping, free returns, and that's how they overcame the online shopping with shoes. So they are solving the pain point. They're telling you what they do. They're very, they're just precise right there in what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. There's another one. There's a company called Backpacks, and it's this really, really innovative bag meant for people that travel a lot. And their USP is bring everything you need without checking a bag. You know, and if you look at their product, if you're on the road all the time and you're traveling for business every day or whatever, and you could get one bag in the overhead compartment that literally, you know, I mean, you're not going to go to backpacking in Europe for 3 months with it, but for a business trip, it's going to have your change of clothes. It's going to have your computer stuff. It's going to have, you know, all these different things. That's a great USP. And it solves such a pain point of, oh my gosh, the plane lands. And then I have to spend how much time waiting for it to come out of the baggage carousel. And then I have to make sure I actually get my bag and I don't pick up another person's bag. And then I have to make sure it actually did make it on the plane and it didn't get lost in transit. You know, there's so many issues that one thing solves.
And I'll tell you, being a veteran traveler with a business before, you know, traveling overseas a lot, I didn't like checking bags because you didn't know if you were going to get it and you didn't want to not have your bag overseas. I would have loved something like that. So yeah, they're speaking to the heart of the veteran traveler there, because that is a huge pain point and they're solving it right there in their USP.
Yeah. So, you know, and then kind of going back to what Paul was saying about, you know, he just makes stuff so it doesn't stink. I think for Paul, for his USP, it's, you're going to want to be very real. This is a mistake that a lot of people make, is they try and make it almost too polished. And you want to make it very real and understandable to the everyday person with everyday concerns, right?
Yep.
So, you know, that's why the NyQuil thing, you know, is it really polished and really professional sounding, sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy,
it's sticky,
whatever. You know,
it's sticky, like this kidney story, you know, and like that book Made to Stick. It's sticky. Oh, and Amanda says it's 13 words.
13 words. Okay. Wow. Okay. So apparently I cannot count because for some reason in my head it was 9 words. But
13 still. I mean, you're not going to forget it. And when you get sick, you're going to go, hey, I'm sniffing, I'm sneezing, I'm coughing, I'm stuffy head. Those are the main pain points when you're sick, and not being able to sleep because of all those. And he says, is it necessary to trademark your USPs? No, you don't have to, but you can, and the bigger you get, you should.
Yeah. It's a great, you know, you just run the risk of, if you have a stellar USP, someone will snake it and they'll register the trademark before you and you'll lose it. So
that can happen.
Keep that in mind. I mean, but it is, you know, I mean, trademarking, so getting a registered trademark isn't cheap, right? I mean,
time consuming too. It takes time. But yeah, you also have the common law. You're protected by common law if you have proof you're using it. But if somebody big does start using it, then you're going to have problems. But I wouldn't do it out of the gate. It's expensive. Amanda says, true, they got all the pain points in there. They did with NyQuil. They really did. They hit every single possible, because we're just coming out of Paul being sick for 3 weeks. Did we
use NyQuil is the question.
No, and I'm just going, Paul, why did we not use NyQuil? I always kept me awake a lot.
Okay, so another mistake people make with their USPs is they try and use big words, all right? And this is going to sound funny, but just work with me here, okay? You need to use like little words that a first grader would use when crafting your USP.
Bonnie
if a first grader cannot understand your USP, it's the wrong deal.
Yeah.
Right? So do not use big words. Use, like, if we go back to some of the examples I shared, Dollar Shave Club, a great shave for a few bucks a month. A first grader can understand that, right?
Right.
You know, the Backpacks one, bring everything you need without checking a bag. The Domino's one, well, you talked about the new one, but there's the classic Domino's one of, what was it? Your pizza delivered in 30 minutes or it's free. Do you remember that one?
We guarantee fresh hot pizza delivered in 30 minutes or less.
Right.
It doesn't say free, but, and then you have FedEx, where it absolutely positively has to be there overnight.
Right. Which is the classic one. Now,
Right.
back in the day, that was really impressive. Now, people are like, well, it better be there overnight.
I know now they expect it to stay.
Now you can order on Amazon, right? Amazon ruined it. Amanda and I were talking. For those of you guys that don't know, Amanda and I work together, and we were working on something earlier this week, and she was like, Amazon ruined everything. I'm like, they really did.
They did, especially for e-commerce, because it's like the overnight, it is. They did. So what about Uber? What's their unique selling proposition? What's their tagline?
Amanda might know Ubers because she actually drives for Ubers. I know not Ubers, Uber. She sometimes picks up some extra cash. So, Amanda, if you know what that is, jump on and tell us. But I know that Lyft does rides in minutes.
Rides in minutes, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing though. People get so afraid of having a product that's out there in the masses, but you look at somebody like Uber, which is, they've taken a whole new spin. So be thinking about how you can take your product in a whole new direction, not be afraid of it being out there like candles are so common or bath and body is so common or, taxi rides are so common, because you can make what you have unique by focusing on what is your unique selling proposition. She says, I have no idea. I had to look.
Okay, well, that tells me that as awesome as Uber is with their marketing, they may have missed an opportunity there. Because
if get there, your day belongs to you.
Okay, this is what I give the Uber USP. Now, that's weak. And maybe that's why it wasn't even memorable to somebody that they have paid a nice chunk of change to for driving for them. Right? Well, if your own people can't memorize it, then we've got a problem, Houston.
Well, maybe it's because, have you ever used an Uber?
Yeah.
Okay. So Paul and I used an Uber in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. And we went to the Prosper show. There was a restaurant I wanted to go to. And so we took a cab out to the restaurant. It was $20. Mm-hmm. So maybe we need to rewrite Uber's unique selling proposition. Right. And on the way, before we left the restaurant, I said to Paul, let's download the Uber app and take Uber back and compare. It was really slick. So he downloaded it on his phone.
You mean the Lyft app?
No, we did Uber.
You did Uber both ways?
No, we took a cab.
Oh, okay. Okay,
the restaurant. It was $20. So I'm like, let's do Uber and see. The cool thing about Uber, he downloaded it, told him where we were. Immediately, they said, your ride will be there in 5 minutes. He, on the app, could watch the ... where the driver was. And it was kind of funny because the driver, there was a roundabout before you came down the street where the restaurant was. The driver went this way and turned right, had to turn around and went this way and turned left. Anyway, bottom line, we watched the driver spend 5 extra minutes try to find us. But the cool thing was we knew who the driver was, what they were driving, where they were, when they were going to be there. And it was like $7 getting back.
Wow.
In comparison to 20. And it was a nice conversation with a fun lady driving us. So it was a really good experience. But I didn't know their tagline. I didn't know what their unique selling proposition is. Yeah, I would say it takes the hassle out of waiting for a cab and always knowing where they are. And also the safety factor too, I would think, because you know who's going to pick you up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's something creepy about getting into a cab. And I used to think that getting into Uber or Lyft was creepy as well until I started doing it. Because I'm like, I'm just going to get in somebody's car. Who is this person? Right. But then I started doing it and I realized it's so much less creepy than getting in a cab, because the cab, I don't know what it is with cab drivers. They're just, a lot of times they're creepy. But your story, Becky, reminded me of something that happened to me when I was in Vegas last summer. I had been at a conference and I was going back to my hotel and I shared a ride, and it was Uber or Lyft, I don't remember which one, but I shared a ride with a gentleman that was going back to the same hotel. And we had just met at the conference and we're just, friendly chat. And we're in the car and the driver turns around and says, so do you want to get married? And I was like, what? No, I'm married, right? The guy's like, been married 25 years, right? I'm like, going on 18. That's the weirdest thing ever, right? And he goes, oh, well, my name, and he had some like hilarious name. I wish I could remember it. I don't remember it. But he turned around and he threw his business cards at us, and he goes, so what I do that's different than any other driver in Vegas is I take you to your destination, but I can marry you along the way because I'm actually licensed to marry people. Right? And I was like, oh my gosh, only in Vegas. Only in Vegas, right? But that guy, as goofy as that was, I will never forget him. I will never forget that story. And what a great, unique selling proposition. And you gotta wonder, have people actually taken him up on that when in Vegas? They probably have.
You want to get married? Yeah, you're right.
Right? Okay, now Amanda's going on a Lyft promotional effort right now because she's like all pro Lyft.
Okay, she drives through Lyft. Okay.
So another thing when it comes to mistakes people make with USPs is saying things, and I see this stuff all the time. We really care, something like that, like this general statement that means nothing to nobody, right? I think real estate agents are really guilty of doing this. I see this a lot, because we really care. And I'm like, well, you better care or you shouldn't be in business, or your business won't be around for long at all, right? So you don't want to say that you really care. You want to say how you care.
Right.
So thinking about that how is super duper important.
Right. You don't want it to be on price or, something like that anybody can do. You want it to be unique to you.
Yeah. And touching on the price factor, I'm glad you brought that up, Becky, because I always say price is a really slippery slope.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a world now, we're in a global marketplace.
Right.
So there will always be somebody, if you are based here in the United States, you better believe there's going to be somebody in India, the Philippines,
that's going to do it,
Russia, whatever, that will work for pennies on the dollar, right? So do not compete on price unless you are Walmart,
It says the three best, don't use quality, best service, or best price, because anybody can claim those. Mm-hmm. Use the pain point that you are solving in yours.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. Walmart, somebody's going to come along, so you don't want to get into that slippery slope.
Yeah. But speaking of Walmart, I saw a sign the other day in Walmart that said, and I should have grabbed it exactly what it said, but it said something like, get it the next day, no membership fee. Okay.
Wow.
So they had a new sign up promoting that they are like Amazon, but you don't have to pay the membership fee.
Or like Costco. Member,
right?
Costco, yeah.
Yes. So I was like, oh, slick move. Amazon and Walmart are really, the battle.
They're going to go head to head. They're going to go head to head. Yeah.
The battle continues. It's like the next version of Star Wars, right? It never stops.
Well, hopefully we've given lots of information on what to do and how to do it and mistakes not to make, right?
Yeah. So you guys, we are so eager to see what USPs you start creating and sharing. And I know that Becky and I would love to see what you guys come up with. Post it in the group.
Yeah.
If you're not a member of the group, facebook.com/the visibility show, join our group and come and share the USPs. And even if you want to brainstorm things, like even if you're like, okay, well, I think these are some benefits, throw them up in the group. And then we could tell you, we can say, yeah, that's good. Or no, that's kind of weak. You should keep working on it.
Yeah. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. She says, now I must go plaster my USP everywhere. Absolutely, Annie.
Oh, yes, you should.
Yes, you need to. Well, it's been fun.
It's been super fun. Becky, you want to tell them what we're doing next week?
The show or our surprise?
Well, both.
I can't remember the show title. Do you? You
no.
have Asana open there? Anyway, we will be back same time, same place. However, we are going to have a surprise for you a little sneak peek, Stephanie and I are both taking some of our products, bundling them together and giving them to you at a sweet deal.
Yes, it's going to be really good, you guys. So I hope you're going to come back and check this out next week, because we've never done this before.
And it'll be fun.
And it's going to really, really help you guys. This is, you know, it's really taking, you know, collectively, well, this makes Becky and I sound far older than we really are. But, you know, collectively, we've both been in this industry for more than 20 years. So collectively, we're talking like almost 50 years experience. Yeah. So we started when we were 2, right?
Yeah.
But there will be some good stuff that we have for you to offer, and we have never offered it at this price point at all. So I think you guys are going to be very delighted when you see what you will get for the price you will pay. And Yahoo, that's next week.
It'll be good. All right, guys, it's been really fun. I would say that's a wrap. Would you?
That is a wrap. We'll see you guys next Thursday. Happy Easter and Passover to those that celebrate.
Yeah. And see you next week. Same time, same place.
All right. Take care.